Kids, good morning. It's my vlog for August 30th, 2012, and how are you? This is an early morning edition. I don't normally do early morning editions. Actually, I don't normally even get up before about noon. But today's different. Today I felt energized. I got up early. Now, I've been watching the Republican National Convention, or the KKK rally, however you want to call it, for the last couple of days. I've also been watching, in case anybody forgot, Hurricane, now Tropical Storm Isaac, that has been thrashing Louisiana and put it underwater. I know that skipped a lot of people's attention because they were so busy celebrating this KKK rally down in Tampa. Now, they canceled the first day because it was inconvenient and they didn't want to get wet while it was over Florida or near Florida. So they started yesterday, 2 days ago. And it was interesting what they didn't say. They didn't say anything about Mitt Romney on day one when everybody started talking, except for Ann, who said that Mitt made her laugh, but she wouldn't say whether she laughed at him or laughed with him. So that's still a mystery. All we know is that she laughs. And since she has MS, she could just need a medical adjustment. We don't know. Nobody knows. Yesterday, though, it got really interesting. I watched, now, before I get into what I watched and what I heard, let me get into some of the coverage here. There was 3 different types of coverage going on at the RNC convention. There is Fox News, who covers everything. Every word is uttered and says nothing or never, unless it's hooray, oh yes, absolutely, we agree. That's their coverage. And that's fine. That's what they're there for. They are the mouthpiece of the right. Then you have MSNBC's coverage, who does a lot of talking. Now, they have their favorites who they definitely want to listen to, and uninterrupted, they go to those people and let them talk. For example, Ann Romney got no interruption. Condoleezza Rice got no interruption. Last night, what's his name? Vice President Paul, whatever. He got no interruption. I interrupted him at the end because he got so long-winded that the Daily Show was going to start, so I tuned him out at the end. But I pretty much heard all I could stand at that point anyway. But here's the thing. I've been shocked at the utter lack of any kind of substance coming out of this convention. Except, and I'll have to give props to this, except for John McCain. Now, John McCain came out and said this. He insisted, and then Condoleezza Rice came running in behind, which I felt really interesting, and kind of bolstered what John McCain said. Now, the first night we had contradictions, and the contradictions were this. The contradictions were, we had Ann come out and say, love. And then we had Chris Christie come out and say, fuck you, respect. We're going to do it my way, or the highway. We need respect. So, 2 totally different messages, none of which was about Mitt Romney, by the way. None. Except that Mitt Romney's funny. But Ann said that before, and we don't know what kind of sense of humor she has. Some people find Teletubbies funny. Some people find Romper Room funny. I personally loved Hobo Kelly as a kid. I thought she was amazingly funny and cute. So, who knows? Anyway, moving on. Last night, John McCain comes out and suddenly gives a little meat to the bones. And what he says is, you know what? I've had enough of this Barack Obama guy. We need, and he lined it out pretty carefully, we need to double down on our war in Afghanistan. We need to restart the war in Iraq. We need to start another war in Iran. We need to start another war in Syria. Look at all those wars. Who's going to pay for those wars? whose kids are going to go out and fight those wars? Or who are going to fight these wars? They can't all be drone fought. People have to go out and fight wars, and they cost money, lots of money. Who's going to fight all these wars? And then why aren't we down in like Africa, like fighting wars where they slaughter each other? Different tribes. We should be down there too, I guess, leading in front, leading. Why don't we go to anywhere there's a conflict and just invade it and take a stand and lead from in front? Great idea. Last time we tried that, it cost about $5 trillion and we made billions of enemies. Billions. As a matter of fact, why don't we re-invade Europe and get their economic program in gear? Because we don't want fighting between, like, let's say, Greece and Germany. I think we should invade both countries and then dole it out ourselves the way we decide to do it. I think that's a great idea. Excellent. And then we had the expertise. Now, first we had the expertise of somebody that lost for president, and his claim to fame was being tied up and tortured. So he is Mr. Neocon. He wants to go out there and kick some ass because he's still pissed about being tied up in Vietnam sometime 300 years ago. Wait, but then we send out Condoleezza Rice, who, let's start out from the beginning. She came to the Bush administration as the National Security Advisor. Her job every day was to keep the pulse on the security of the United States and brief George Bush on relevant issues and make sure that he got it, that his thick-ass stupid head got the information and made the choices that needed to be made. And she warned him about 9/11 long before 9/11. I knew about 9/11 months before 9/11 because they were issuing aviation directions for security regarding just such events. It wasn't a new concept. It wasn't something that just happened out of the blue like the Bush administration would like you to think. And she was the one on the clock that day when that attack happened. So instead of firing her fucking ass, what they did was they elevated her to Secretary of State. Good job, Condoleezza. Great. So what did you accomplish in the meantime? Tell for the rest of the administration. Can anybody remember any big things that Condoleezza Rice accomplished? I can remember two things that Condoleezza Rice accomplished as Secretary of State. The only two things that stick out in my mind. On the date of Hurricane Katrina, she went to New York City and bought shoes for 2 days. That's what she did. She was so concerned. So I remember that vividly. And the other thing I remember, her big achievement, certainly wasn't Middle East peace. It wasn't anything like that. What she did was she normalized relations with Libya. Muammar Gaddafi, the one we ended up having to kill under the Obama administration. She normalized relations with Libya as well as George Bush, so he could brutalize his people. Now, that's after, if you forget, kids, way back in the day, he sent one of his agents out and blew up a Pan Am 747 over Lockerbie, Scotland, which is why we didn't have relations with him from that point, until Condoleezza Rice came along and decided to normalize relationships, because I guess that's leading from the front. I was awestruck as I listened to this crap last night. And the people stood up and lapped it up. Oh, let's get 4 wars going. Oh, yeah, that'll be great. That's great for the budget. Really? Seriously? And then, even better, we have Paul Ryan, the vice presidential pick for the Republicans, who has no experience other than talking a lot. And he talks a lot about Anne Ryan. And he makes his people read Anne Ryan. Until, of course, last summer when somebody pointed out that Anne Ryan is anti-religion. And, of course, that doesn't fly with the Republican base. So suddenly, he's not so Anne Ryan anymore. But his budget not only privatizes Medicare, or at least now, quote, gives you the option to, but his budget actually doesn't balance for 30 years. If you take his budget right on its face, it raises taxes for the poor and the middle class by cutting services to nothing. That's a tax increase, kids. That's what a tax increase is. When you take away something and you no longer pay for it, then you have to pay out of your pocket. That's a tax increase. And it still takes him 30 years to balance the budget. That's a physical hawk? Really? And then he wants to jump on the John McCain and Condoleezza Rice wagon and talk about foreign policy, which he has zero experience in. Zero. And he's never been in the military. None of his family have ever been in the military. They have zero experience. And the president nominee, what's his name? Mitt Romney, the one they never want to talk about. Zero foreign policy experience and zero military experience. Zero. He just decided to go to France and run around and try to convert people to Mormonism as opposed to go out and fighting a war for his country. That's what he decided to do. Because it was much more convenient to go learn French. Seriously. And the only foreign policy experience he has, and this is where I love where we lead from in front. And we gather I listen to the words, we have to gather our allies again because our allies don't understand where we stand, blah, blah, blah. Does anybody remember the story that Mitt Romney is persona non grata in Italy, one of our allies, because he rat fucked them out of a whole bunch of money? Nobody seems to remember this. They didn't talk about it last night. He's persona non grata in Italy. So if that's the kind of leadership people are looking for, wonderful. But this talk yesterday, which still didn't flesh out a single thing that the Romney administration would do. Because, frankly, every time you ask him a question, he runs off. He never answers a question. He's changed his idea on absolutely everything, absolutely every time you ask him. And when you ask him for a detail, you don't get any. So tonight, we get a chance to hear from him. And I'm really, really, really looking forward to that. Because I want to see if he has anything at all to say of any kind of substance at all. And the fact that people buy into this stuff and lap it up, and because it sounds like tough talk, it makes them feel good. I don't get it. But then someone last night on the Colbert Report actually explained this to me. Because this woman wrote a book about Anne Ryan. And the book basically says, or what this author basically said was this. It has nothing to do, they disconnect religion from the way you live your life. It's okay if you have religion, but don't let it influence the way you live your life. What you're supposed to be is selfish. Completely selfish, get yours first. And then, whatever, in the end, it doesn't matter anything else. And it finally clicked. I get it now. I find it horrifying, but I get it now. Now I understand why these people that call themselves Christians act like such assholes. So unchristian. So completely disgustingly unchristian. And they somehow justify it because Anne Ryan said it's okay. Seriously. I finally, someone in this universe, and I've been asking all of you for years to explain it to me. And finally someone did on the Colbert Report in 4-minute interview, was able to do it. What all of you people can't do, or never had, never cared to. So now I'm even more disgusted. Seriously. Well, that's my thoughts and feelings for today. I really do feel sorry for the people in Louisiana who didn't get a chance to watch all this KKK party down in Tampa. And by the way, I just love the fact that they throw nuts at black women that are working there and call them animals and tell them that's how animals are fed. So if you don't think that Republicans aren't racist, wake up! It's embarrassing to be white in this nation. Wake up! They're playing you. They're playing the white race card, scared of everything white race card. They've said it out loud. They have no chance of winning. The Republicans have no chance of winning unless they can get 61% of the white vote. And that's all they care about. They don't care about the Latino vote. They don't care about the black vote. They don't care about the Asian vote. They don't even care about the woman vote. They just need 61% of white people to vote Republican in order to win. That's all they want. They've said it out loud 5 times now this week. Hello?